I was binge watching the movie Gladiator, and every time we think about the ancient lives of the ancient Romans, we are always amazed by how they lived, the idea of glory of Rome and the violence that ensued. But what about their rulers? Have they ever feared anything? Let's see. Hi, my name is Jessa. We're going to look at the top 10 worst things in the life of a Roman emperor. Number 10. Illnesses. Various illnesses affected the people of the Roman Empire, and the health challenges of the time were influenced by factors such as living conditions, hygiene practices, and the exposure to diseases. While the ancient Romans did not have the comprehensive understanding of germs and disease transmissions, they did face a range of health issues. Like most civilizations in the era, they had no idea what was the causes of the illnesses or diseases, as the most common infectious diseases including malaria, typhoid fever, respiratory infections such as tuberculosis, as Emperor Lucius Verus had been rumored to have died at the age of 38 from TB. There was also gastrointestinal diseases caused by poor sanitations and contaminated water sources that could have led to a prevalence of these illnesses, as well as parasitic infections that was pretty common, and not just in the common people, but the Roman Empire themselves. They would discover themselves with worm infestations. And considering safe intimacy, wink wonk, it wasn't a common discussion either. It was also very common to get infectious diseases in private regions, and that would lead to untreated infections, not just including the dangers of not being able to produce children, but some do cause psychosis and other mental health issues. Number 9. Personal freedom. Even if you were an emperor of Rome, most people had the assumption with so much power would equal to an endless option of choices, when in reality it was the opposite. You were watched constantly, day in and day out, without a moment of silence or solitude due to your political position. And considering the ages varies, you would be relied on by the people, the Senate, and the soldiers who relied on your instructions for conquest or ensuring control of the land. Even with the intimacy being on the record, you would have no choice in decision making for political alliances, and even if you were to have an affair, the choice of keeping your child was also an option. From taking a bath to your waking moment, you barely had any personal freedom, but the dictatorships in some emperors would change the narratives, as they would ensure that others would not be able to enjoy their own personal freedom either. Number 8. The gods. There were only some who were truly vocal on their love or dedication to the gods, as if what you would call as love, as Romans were polytheistic and had multiple temples and services focused on deities. When it came to the Roman emperors, it was always expected that they would adhere to traditions, and the emperors of ancient Rome were often careful to maintain the favor of various gods and goddesses, as religion played a crucial role in Roman society and politics. While the emperors were not necessarily afraid, or so they would seem to be afraid, of the gods in any way individual might fear natural disasters or personal misfortune, they were very mindful of the potential political and social consequences of perceived divine displeasure. Jupiter Optimus Maximus was considered the king of the gods and the protector of the Roman state. Emperors sought to align themselves with Jupiter's favor, often presenting themselves as chosen by the god's rule, and Mars Altor, the god of war, was invoked for military success. Emperors particularly were engaged in military campaigns, sought the favor of Mars Altor to ensure victory and protection of the Roman legions. Vesta was also the goddess of hearth and home, and the continuity of the well-being of the Roman state was closely tied to the safety of the sacred fire in the Temple of Vesta, also known as the Vestal Virgins. Emperors maintained the rituals associated with Vesta to ensure domestic harmony and stability, as all of these gods and more were essential to the Roman emperors as well as their people. Number 7. The Senate. There is some confusion with the Senate versus the Roman Emperor and the Roman Empire. The Senate represented the people, as the Roman Emperor acted as well king, and the Emperor inheriting the divine-born legacy to rule. The relationship between Roman Senate and the Roman Emperor evolved over time, and it was marked by a complex interplay of power, authority, and political dynamics. In the early Roman Republic, political power was shared among various situations and institutions, including the Senate and popular assemblies. The Senate, composed of aristocrats, senators, served in an advisory capacity. While it came to the imperial expansion, the power dynamics shifted as the people and the Senate began to fear on the control of the emperor, and his military prowess became successful, and each conquest was reliant on bringing wealth and power to the regime. When the transition of the empire became imminent with Julius Caesar's rise, it then turned into against the emperor when he tried to introduce the concept of foreign queen, Cleopatra, into the realm. The emperor controlled the military, but the people was the one who he needed approval from the most, and the emperor knows that the Senate's priority, despite being aristocrats, were for the people, and if he couldn't make a fair share towards them, it was bad news for him as leader. Periods of conflict and tension were also occurring, especially during the times of political instability and or when the emperor perceived challenges to their authority. Number 6. Usurpers. When it came to foreign policy and foreign forces against the Roman Emperor, as an example to Cleopatra, it always brought a grave threat to the Roman Emperor as a leader. Carthage, located in North Africa, became a major rival to the Roman Empire, including the Punic Wars, and the conflicts were made by famous military leaders such as Hannibal, who crossed the Alps with elephants during the Second Punic War. Rome emerged victorious, destroying the Carthage in 146 BCE, and the Parthian Empire located in the eastern part of Roman Empire were also recurring adversaries. The Roman-Parthian wars were marked by territorial disputes, with the contested regions such as Armenia being the source of conflict, and the Germanic tribes, including the Cherkesses led by Arminius, inflicted by a significant defeat on the Roman legions in the Teutoburg Forest in 9 CE. This defeat led to the reassessment of the Roman expansion in Germania, and the Huns were also a part of the conflict, as nomadic people from Central Asia played a role in the Battle of Andriopoli in 378 CE, where the Roman Emperor Valens were defeated and killed, and the Huns later posed a significant threat to the Western Roman Empire. They never met Huns before. And just as a few examples of the usurpers from foreign lands that wanted Rome's power, but it wasn't just foreign enemies, even one close to you, as you could hope, would also hold a terrifying fear for the emperor. Number 5. Violent coups. Like number 6, the violent coups made by people wasn't heard of, but the thing is, many usurpations were actually led by military commanders who had significant influence over the Roman legions. The loyalty of the military was crucial, and successful generals could use their armies to challenge the sitting emperor. The idea of a violent coup were actually more prevalent if the leader was a complete idiot or a reckless leader and not just bloodshed violence, as there were many Roman emperor leaders that did not utilize their power as a totalitarian rule or try to enforce militia law on the people. But those who did, or made poor decision making out of their own personal interests and not for the people, as an example which we will later reveal, were always caused by those closest to them. Not in relation, but by distance. Members of senates, then militia, and even family could organize a coup against you as a Roman emperor only if you weren't doing your job, or weren't in the interests of them or the people. Number 4. Civil War. When it came to the Roman Empire, its untimely end was caused by this very subject, a civil war. Civil war were a reoccurring and consequential feature of the Roman Empire's history, contributing to its significant political, social, and economic changes. Following the death of Emperor Nero, who took his own life in 68 CE, a power struggle ensued, leading to the year of the 4 emperors Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian successfully claimed the throne. Vespasian ultimately emerged victorious, marking the end of the civil strife, as the Roman Empire experienced a period of military anarchy during the later part of the crisis of the 3rd century. Multiple military leaders and claimants to the throne, known as the 30 Tyrants, seized power in different regions, contributing to further disintegration. The last major civil war in the Roman Empire is generally considered to be the Civil War of 193 to 197 CE, which occurred during the year of the 5 emperors, as the assassinations of the Emperor Pertinax faced power struggles over the next following years. When Constantine emerged, the conflict between Constantine and Maxentius, something like that, who also controlled Rome at the time, were often highlighted, and the Roman Emperor continued to experience internal strife and usurpations in the subsequent years. The crisis then caused more internal conflicts, and eventually the eradication of the Roman Empire is left in history. Number 3. Betrayal. When it comes to betrayal, it was also another additional thing the Romans feared, especially their leaders. Betrayal could happen anywhere, anytime, and it could also be something that you least expected. Whether if it was a choice you made or didn't make, it was entirely resulted in its aftermath. As a result, either way, it was proof that when it came to betrayal, it always resulted in death. Number 2. Assassinations. As mentioned with coups, the coups invited the obvious worst thing for these Roman emperor leaders, assassinations, as there were so many throughout sent into the Roman halls, including Caligula, known for his erratic behavior, faced discontent among the Praetorian Guard and senators. He was assassinated by 41 CE by the members of the Praetorian Guard and senators, leading to the brief reign of Claudius. Domitian, the last Flavian emperor, faced opposition due to his autocratic rule and perceived tyranny. He was assassinated in 96 CE in a palace conspiracy involving members of his own household and high-ranking officials. Commodus, also known for his erratic behavior and extravagance, faced increasing opposition. He was assassinated in 192 CE as part of a conspiracy involving members of his own household, including his wrestler partner Narcissus and his mistress Marcia. They just hated him. Even assassinations were too much, there would also be an option for the leader themselves to save their skins by simply just abdicating the throne to someone else. Diocletian, also an example, set the example of retiring than to deal with the risk of being overthrown or killed. And number 1. Legacy. Legacy. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. When it came to legacy, leaving one behind was very important to the Roman emperors. After all, when we think about Roman rulers, we see and think of them of their own success, and the idea of tainting one's legacy was extremely worrisome. As we now know in history, when we look back towards the Roman emperors and the Roman Empire as a whole, we associate with them with the legacy they had left behind. The Roman emperors transformed the Roman Republic into a centralized imperial system. The concept of a single ruler with extreme authority, aka the emperor, became a defining feature of Roman governance. The legions played a crucial role in securing and expanding the empire, and their organization structure influenced later militia formations. However, the Roman Emperor faced challenges including political instability, economic decline, and external invasions. The struggles of the later emperors highlighted the difficulties of governing a vast and diverse empire. And looking at history now, when we think of rulers like Nero, Caligula, and Commodus, we recognize them as humans, but humans who had choices into what they have done. From draining financials, bank reserves, and unjust killings and violent tendencies is what taints them in life as well as death. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Anyways, what's your Roman Empire? Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. My name is Jess, and I wish you all the best.